Hello, everybody, and thank you to Susan and CMBA for letting us take over this podcast. I'm on here with a good friend of mine, someone I've known for quite some time, and someone who's been in this industry, and I'm really excited to talk to him, Jon Irvine, Chief Production Officer at Change Mortgage. Jon, good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you, Josh. Thanks for having me on. I'm always excited when I get a chance to talk shop with you.
Definitely. It's always a good time. Hey, I wanted to talk about a handful of different things today, and I think one thing I would just start with is this: whether you're a loan officer or a lender, executive, whatever if you're in the mortgage industry and you're watching this because you're in the mortgage industry, is generally why. Jon, I've been in this industry for 24 years. Jon, we were just talking about earlier, before this call, was 27 years. Right, so we've seen, and you've seen, lots of different markets, ups and downs and movements and stuff, and I think that's something that, you've been in this industry for a 27-year career. I've had a 24-year career, which means you can have a good long-term career in this industry, definitely. B, what advice can you give, people in the mortgage industry right now about where the market is and, kind of how to look at it, and, anything?
Sure. Well, I'll start by saying that, as you pointed out, Josh, I've been in the business 27 years. I started when I was 1 year old, and clearly you started when you were 4, because we're both 28 now, and we've been in the business just a little bit at a different time. Look, this market has a very common moniker that you'll hear a lot, and it's a cyclical business. Cyclicality refers to the fact that things go up and things go down. And, much like the stock market, this is probably one of the more volatile industries to choose. However, there's a reason why you and I have been in it for so long. And that's because the fact is that one of the core tenets of the American dream is homeownership. It's really what everybody terms the American dream, is to own a home. Yep. But being that this is, really the world leader in terms of economy and financial power in the world, it's also very expensive to live here. And as a result, the vast majority of people in this country can't afford to just buy a home for cash. And so people have to finance homes. And, again, being a core tenet of the society, one of the 4 pillars of the U.S. economy, and also being one of the basic human needs is shelter, people have to have some place to live. And so for as long as there is going to, that's going to be consistent, that's one of the core tenets of basic human need is shelter, you will have opportunity in the mortgage space, because we provide a very, very valuable service to people in helping them buy homes and finance the homes, and raise families and do all the other wonderful things that we get to do in homes.
No, I think that's kind of, that's great how you said that, which is, yeah, it's one of the pillars of the U.S. economy, and it is the American dream, is home ownership. And, and until people stop needing to own homes, right, or all of a sudden they're so cheap that everyone can pay cash for them overnight, right, there's going to be a mortgage industry. And that's, for years, what I told myself was there's always the right financial product for the market. There's always someone making money. There's people, we have customers who are making money right now. We have customers who are growing. They've figured things out. I look at the market size, and if you look at the MBA's forecast, I think this year is now 1.8 trillion or 1.9 trillion. Next year is 2.3. Following year is 2.4 trillion. If you look at from 2009 till 2019, the average origination a year was 1.7 trillion. So this year is still going to be above what, before that super hyper amount of, low inventory, super low rate environment created, we're still going to be above what's normal, and we're going to continue to grow. So, there's going to be, there's always, money has to be made. People are going to make money, because otherwise people can't buy homes and mortgage companies can't exist. right?
You're so right. I tell my sales staff, both on the retail side and we try to counsel our customers on the wholesale side that everything is relative. There will be 5 million home purchase transactions in the U.S. next year. 5 million. Okay.
A lot.
We consider ourselves the leader in non-traditional or non-QM lending in the country. And we funded 12,000 loans last year, a tiny portion of 5 million. Even if inventory and sales went down to 4 million, we still have a tremendous amount of opportunity, and it's a big pie. There is space for a lot of people to exist in this business and do well to help contribute to that dream of home ownership. So there's always going to be financing, and I laugh because you bring up a great point about the size of the industry and the fact that if you go back and forward with past and future estimates, it's all kind of about the same. What isn't the same, though, are interest rates. They've been all over the place. I can tell you, when I started in this business, I was selling 17.99% with 10 points up front. I'm pretty sure that's illegal nowadays. But the fact is that I did it. I did it successfully because, that's what the market bore at that time. So in relative terms, rates are still very, very close to historic lows. There's still great opportunity for people to be able to finance homes, refinance homes. And it's a great business for those that are committed to it.
Yeah, no, that's it's interest. Yeah, interest rates have been all over the market. I remember selling 7.5% FHA with 3 points. And people being really happy with that, being excited that they got that.
Absolutely.
It's just a matter of knowing, that's the mindset you have to go into it with. And so that means that in it being cyclical, sometimes you don't make as much, right? And sometimes you make a lot more than normal. So you just have to kind of, prepare for that and understand that and see how that, and works. But then what I've always found, my experience, personal experience in the industry, is about within 12 months of any of the market downturns over the last 24 years, there's been like 2 or 3, where rates have actually moved more than a couple percent. And I've always in the refinance side. Within 6 to 12 months, I'm usually had some of my best years of my life because, I got hyper efficient, went back to the drawing board, dug into the data, figured out what was going on, updated my systems, looked at my technology, started to really put things together and said, all right, I got to be super efficient now. So how do I do that? And then, you figure something out, and then as you become super efficient, you do more of it. And that's,
you stole my thunder there. I was actually going to give you a huge plug right now because you're right. I don't know if you saw, there was a bunch of articles out last week, in the last week or so, that's stating that for the first year, 2022, in recent history, that or maybe in all-time recorded history, the mortgage industry actually operated at a loss per loan as opposed to a profit. And I think it's forced a lot of companies to take a really hard look at their operational costs, their technology costs. And I'm hoping that we get a chance to discuss Insellerate later on in this conversation, but we did exactly that same exercise as an organization, and we were very close to signing one of the industry leaders CRMs, but we were being very cost conscious. And so when I had the opportunity to see what it was that Insellerate had to offer at a fraction of the cost that this other provider, and I won't say who it was, could offer, you guys were able to deliver on all that we needed and more at a third the cost. And the onus is on us as responsible business leaders to make the most effective and efficient decisions for our employees, our organizations, and our customers. And I feel like that's exactly what we did. And, that's thanks to partners like Insellerate.
No, I appreciate that. I mean, unless you're Rocket Mortgage, you don't need, you want to work with companies. I think that what's helped us is we specialize in this industry. right? We came from the mortgage industry, that, John. We've worked together in the past. We understand this industry, came from the industry. So our product was built specifically for industry. So the use cases that a loan officer, or in your example, your account executives and your marketing managers go through doing their jobs, we understand that. So we built the system already tailored to, what their needs are. And I think that's, what's allowed people like Change to leverage the platform, thus far.
That was really one of the biggest draws to me to the platform. Is, well, first of all, I had a personal relationship with you, but as the saying goes, business is business.
Yep.
I'm not gonna implement a system or technology that isn't right for our organization just because I like you as a person and we're personally friends. The reality of it is that people in your organization speak mortgage. They understand the challenges of the point of sale, what things are important to companies to be able to measure and manage, what's important to customers to be able to deliver. How do you speak in a voice that speaks to the end customer, whether that's a broker on the wholesale side or whether that's a consumer on the retail side? You guys get it. And, with the other solution that we were looking at, they're multifaceted and they're in many different industries. And, just in the initial conversations, not only was it more expensive, but they don't speak mortgage. And so the lift, the difficulty in getting something like that implemented is that much more difficult because we have to do so much more of the work. One of the nice things, in dealing, we just rolled out the wholesale platform over the last 60 days here, is that, when we're talking to your team and we say, hey, we need to change this field from saying customer to saying broker, there's not a question of why, what does that mean, what's the implications. You get it. And it saves time and frustration, and just leads, I feel like, to a better working relationship. And then the fact that your company's smaller than other organizations, it's been very accessible. You don't see this, but I've been participating on a number of the calls, the implementation calls, and there's a number of your senior leaders on the calls. There's some senior vice presidents that regularly attend the meetings, and they're actively engaged in helping us be successful with this and implement it the right way. So it's not like you just took the account, said, hey, thanks Change for signing up with us, and you turned me over to a bunch of junior people to try to do the implementation. We really feel like we're getting the full support of Insellerate, which has been nice.
No, that's good. I mean, it's, the business, and what's interesting, and you and I are in the same business. I'm in software as a service, the service industry. You're in financial services, service industry. And so I think, what we've always realized is it's about service. If you can't be successful with the software, you're not going to continue to use it. And I'm going to lose you as a customer. You're going to be unhappy, and that's not going to be fun for me. I don't like talking to angry customers. No one likes to have, someone who's upset with what they have.
Sure.
So, it's that, something else that you mentioned, I like to call it, and you said it was, a third of the cost is total cost of ownership. Right. So the total, it's, you have to look at, if you're going to go with some of the, and large organizations like Change will go to, some of the larger CRM systems out there, a Salesforce and Microsoft Dynamics, and say, hey, we have a tech budget we're going to build and go after and do this. And so the cost of that's very expensive. But so that's one thing to factor in. But the other thing that you said was kind of the lift, the mental lift. And I like to say this, it's the brain power. You guys, a lender has a certain amount of brain power. Any lender does, right? And you don't want to be using your best and brightest brain power to try to be figuring out something like what's the use case, or what's the right permissions or tabs or rules for a mortgage loan officer. You want them figuring out, how do I make my mortgage loan officer more successful? How do I improve my marketing? Right. It takes a lot of mental capacity off of, lenders out there, larger lenders who are trying to manage more complex, systems that are made for, many different industries. So therefore you have to have specialists and you have to have programmers. And if we just recently won a client off of another, a Salesforce platform. They just said, hey, listen, we liked it, what we had built in Salesforce, but at the end of the day, we can't afford the 6 full-time people we had to run it. Plus the system,
Yeah.
it's just too expensive. And on top of that, we had to pay for extra support here. And, it just was really expensive. And so now, it doesn't get maintained, it doesn't get used, and it doesn't work. And now how can we save money? And, you guys can fill that role. So I think that's something.
One of the things that we saw through, I'm really glad that we went through the RFP process with you guys, because you helped us recognize certain things that we didn't realize that we wanted or were going to want at some point in the future. So when we had a chance to look at the offerings that you had that came with the baseline of the platform, and then we went back to this other large provider and realized, like, this is going to be an add-on, and this is going to be an add-on. So not only were they starting at a baseline, that's how you guys got to being a third of the cost, is because we realized that a fully built out system that would mirror what we were getting with Insellerate wasn't just going to be this baseline system that they were selling us. It was everything else that we would need to stack on top of that in order to just get to where you guys were at, and they don't speak mortgage. So at the end of the day, the timing for us meeting for lunch that day and, just happening to fall into the conversation was precipitous for both of us. And, glad that for both of us that it happened.
And I remember I had mentioned, hey, we had, recently done a further TPO integration to Encompass that some people have been really excited about. You should, take a look at it. I think that was the, after many conversations. But yeah, no, I think that's, we like the industry. It's, and it's important to us. We've been, I've been in this for a long time. A lot of people that work for Insellerate have been in the mortgage industry for over 10 years. So it's something that we all know. So here's what I want to talk about next is just Change Mortgage. Tell me a little bit about your structure and, your mission statement, if you will. And then, how are you helping, our broker community get more loans, close more loans?
Yeah, I appreciate that conversation. And it's one of the things I love to talk about the most. The fact that we are different changes a different kind of mortgage company. We are what's known as a Community Development Financial Institution, or CDFI for short. And, effectively, it's a designation that's granted by the U.S. Department of Treasury. And we have a special mission. And our mission is to expand credit to all Americans. And we do so, we're specifically approved as a CDFI for African Americans, Hispanics, and low to moderate income. That doesn't mean we only lend to those groups that are mentioned. We actually lend to any and everybody that qualifies. We aim to make high credit quality loans to people that deserve the opportunity to get financing. And so, what it's enabled us, this CDFI designation, is to not only have the full plethora of normal products, I'll call them. We're direct to Fannie, we're direct to Freddie, we're direct Ginnie issuers. We have the full suite of regular non-QM products that you might find at any other normal non-QM company. But in addition to all of that, we have a community advisory board that's made up largely of people that are part of the target market customers that we're approved for, and they help us understand what the needs of the community are, what types of barriers have been in place, sometimes structurally for many, many decades, that prohibit people of color primarily and low to moderate income people from being able to get financing to own a home. And then they helped us develop unique products to address those communities. And our flagship product, the one that I'm most proud of, is called the Community Mortgage. And it's a program that allows us to provide financing based on three simple things: credit, collateral, and reserves. So, we effectively take a look at somebody's credit history of pay on time. We take a look at the collateral through an appraisal, the property itself, and then we qualify people based on reserves that they have, and it could be as little as 12 months worth of reserves. It makes the process very, very simple. You don't necessarily need employment on the application, nor do you need income on the application. And we've found, and one of the reasons why we created this is it's a product that really helps to serve a new term that I wasn't familiar with before I got here, and that's gig economy workers. And gig economy workers refers to people like DoorDash delivery folks or Uber drivers, or other types of seasonal workers. And when you look at these industries, overwhelmingly large percentages of them are people of color and low to moderate income folks. And so these hardworking people that provide, invaluable services. Just think a couple years back when we were all on lockdown from COVID, we couldn't survive without Instacart delivery people, right? How would you get your groceries? And these people working as hard as they did through some of the toughest times in our country's history, they couldn't even get qualified to buy a house in most companies. And so we pay special attention to that, and we track, and I'm thankful to say that we are one of the largest CDFIs in the nation, and we're the largest non-bank CDFI in the nation by far. And we've lent upwards of $25 billion over the last few years. So I'm really proud of that. And you're right, we are mission based. And I have a saying internally that is up on our walls outside, and it's do good by doing good, because we're able to do things that are good for the community, and it makes people feel good to be a part of something.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I like the mission. I never thought about the fact that you're right. The gig economy workers are going to be low to moderate income and higher percentage of people of color, and that would affect them, disproportionately. So I think those are unique products that you guys have, and it allows you to really serve the underserved, right?
Yeah. For our brokers to, get to the second part of your question, this is exciting, obviously, for us as a company. It's exciting for these communities that we're able to expand credit for, but I'll tell you, it's also exciting for brokers, because for brokers, particularly when you went from 2020, which was an unexpectedly incredible year for the mortgage business, even though it was really terrible for the rest of the world, being on lockdown. 2020 and 2021 were some of the best years of mortgage history. 2022, the party came to an end and everything came to a screeching halt. And all of a sudden, the loans that were falling out of the air, you now couldn't dig 50 feet into the ground to find, a remnant of a loan. And, one of the great things about our unique product set is it opens up the door to more people that a broker can qualify people for. We call that the unfair advantage. We are effectively giving brokers an unfair advantage by giving them a product that they can't get effectively anywhere else. So not only do they get the full suite of products that they would at some other company, but they also get this specialty product that will help them, build their business by an extra 20%. I can tell you internally, we're just getting ready to have a sales rally of sorts in the next couple of days. And one of the things I'm highlighting to our retail loan officers is when I look back on our production for 2022, we outperformed the general market by about 20. And that's because of this specialty product, which represented about 20%. So if I'm a broker and I'm saying like, gosh, I want 20% more loans, sign up with Change and you'll have an opportunity to get that 20% you wouldn't be able to get elsewhere.
I like that. I think that's, that comes down to the fact of being efficient. 2 years ago, when anyone you talk to could qualify with a loan, you didn't have to get everyone out there. You just had to get, your fair share of, of the loans, and you're happy. Now, if you talk to 100 people, maybe, 20 of them are going to transact in the next 6 months. If you go out there, which is before, that's not the reality. So if you're able to increase, that 20 pool to 30, right? Because now all of a sudden instead of saying no and just a denial, it's, oh, hey, actually we have this program, you qualify for it. Here's how it works. Here's your pre-approval, go buy a house. That's that 20%, which, for most lenders, if you look at it, when I was a lender, my last 20% of my loans was all my profit. Like I was typically, I always use Insellerate. I had this lead nurture program system that about 16% of my production came from. And somewhere between 16 and 20% of my loans is what ended up being my profit. So it's like,
Yeah.
that is, I like the saying unfair advantage.
Yeah.
So that's good. So that, I think if you're out there and if you're a broker, I would be looking at those products. Definitely. And I'm sure it's easy to get a hold of you, Jon. I mean, is it just, what's the website if someone wants to get a hold of you guys to find out more about this?
Yeah, absolutely. It's changewholesale.com, pretty easy. You can find resources. We have an open architecture, so you can check rates, you can look at guidelines, matrices, all right from the website. You can certainly submit an inquiry. Our turn times right now are right at or under 30 days for loans. So we have fantastic service for our brokers. We've got AEs across the country. We're licensed in 47 states and Washington, D.C. So, if you're watching from New York or Massachusetts, I apologize, but those are the only two places in the country right now that we're not doing business. But, this is really a special place to be, and it's a special partnership that we would like to grow to as many and help as many Americans as we possibly can.
Awesome. Well, guys, if you want to get a hold of Jon, changewholesale.com. As you said, pretty simple. If you want to get a hold of someone on Insellerate, just insellerate.com. We'd love to speak to you as well and show you how, if you're, especially if you're a wholesale lender or a retail lender or consumer direct, we handle all the channels. We love to talk to you, especially about the wholesale thing. Change did challenge us to make some improvements, and they really were improvements that didn't exist in the industry. So we have, we built some things that we know don't exist because, you were using a system before ours, and you evaluate other systems, and we kind of figure out what did not exist, which is why you were going to have to go build it on your own. So I really appreciate your guys' input on building that. That was really helpful.
We're tracking feedback right now, Josh, and our usage rates are almost 3x what they were with our previous CRM, which was not built for wholesale. Awesome. So our wholesale AEs are absolutely loving this. They're loving the opportunity to be able to touch and communicate with their clients in a nice, simple, easy fashion. There's lots of ties to, social media, which is so big. There's really a lot of great bells and whistles. So you're not wrong. If there's anybody out there looking for a system, you absolutely owe it to yourself to take a hard look at Insellerate, because it's pretty awesome.
Awesome. Appreciate that, Jon. Susan, back at the CMBA, thank you for having us, and everyone have a great day.